For a lot of people, grocery shopping isn't their favorite thing. So today I'm going to share with you the number one thing I do to make it less of a hassle. So we all know that a big part of eating healthier is actually getting that healthier food, getting it in your house and getting it on the table. So we have to go grocery shopping. And I know that for a lot of people, grocery shopping is one of those parts of life that's just one of those things that you have to do, but maybe you don't love doing it. Just like washing the dishes, just like doing the laundry. It might not be your favorite activity, but it still has to get done. So with that in mind, I want to make grocery shopping at least a little bit more enjoyable for you and share with you the number one thing that I do that I think really makes a big difference, and that is making a shopping list. Now wait, before you click off this video, hear me out, because you might be thinking that the advice of making a shopping list doesn't really sound that helpful or like something you haven't already heard before. But I have two questions for you. One, are you making a shopping list now? And two, if you are making a list, is that list really working for you or is it working against you? Because I have some tips for you today that can make the list making process a lot easier so it actually happens, and also some things that can make your list a friend in the grocery store instead of an enemy. Because there's nothing worse than running all around the store in circles trying to find everything you need, or getting home and realizing that you forgot something. So first I'm going to share some tips for how to think about your list and how to organize it, and then I'm going to share a tool that I really like and that I think makes the whole process a lot easier. So when I'm making my grocery list, I like to think of the foods as being in three separate categories. And the first category is anything that I need based on my meal plan for the week. Now, I think it is absolutely essential to do meal planning for the week. It's not hard, it doesn't take a ton of time, and it makes your life so much easier. Now, lucky for you, I already have a video where I've shown you how I do all of my meal planning. So if you haven't seen that, I'll link it for you so you can go and watch it and you can get all of that info too. But the first thing I do is I go through my meal plan after I've made it for the week, and I look down each day and I see, is there any ingredient, is there anything for any of these meals that I don't already have on hand? And if there is, that goes on the list first. The second category is the weekly food staples. So these are the things that I buy every single week. It doesn't matter what's on the meal plan. It doesn't even really matter what time of year it is. These are the things that I buy all the time. There are some minor differences here and there. You know, sometimes you get in a period where you're just eating a lot of this food and it becomes a staple, and then maybe 6 months later, it's kind of passed on and you're not really into it anymore. Of course, those things kind of happen, but for the most part, these foods stay the same. So for me, this is things like bananas, milk, bread, eggs, and peanut butter. Once I've added those foods to my list, then I move on to the third category, which is other staples. So these are the food items that are staples in my kitchen, but I don't need to buy them every single week. I only have to buy them occasionally as they need replenished. So this is going to be things like flour, almonds, salt, pepper, other spices, chocolate chips, garlic, and onions. Now to get these things on the list, you might just think of them as you're doing your list making. So you might remember, oh, I saw that XYZ is getting low, or I just ran out of this thing the night before, put that on the list. But I think it's a good idea to add those things to the list as you notice that you need them, because that's going to help make sure that they are on the list. So if you're making something and you realize, oh, this flour is getting pretty low, we're going to need to replace that, put it on the list right then, because that way that's going to prevent a situation where you thought you would remember, but then you didn't remember. You go to the grocery store, you come home, and either when you're putting stuff away or maybe a couple nights later when you're trying to make something, you realize, oh, I forgot to add flour to the list, and now I can't make this whole recipe that I was planning to make, and then you have to scramble and come up with another idea, or you're doing a last-minute trip to the grocery store just to buy one item, which is annoying, and it takes up time and energy, and it's just a stressful situation. So we want to prevent that. So when you see something is low, put it on your list right away, and then you know that you're gonna make sure that you get those things when you go to the store. And if you are grocery shopping for other people in addition to yourself, they also need to be on board with this, and they need to make sure that if they notice something is low, or if they use the last of something, that they take it upon themselves to make sure that that item gets on the grocery list. So once I have my grocery list made, and I've made sure that I've gone through all those categories and everything that we need is on there, then I organize it. And the way I organize it is by the path that I take on my shopping trip. Now, when I go grocery shopping, in addition to my farmer's market trips that I have during the farmer's market season, I also go to 2 different grocery stores. So the first one is a local grocer where I can get some local and regional items. They also have bulk spices there and just a few other things that I like to get there specifically. And then I also go to more like a regular mainstream chain grocery store to get any other items I need. I tend to get a lot of my packaged goods there and just fill in any of the other gaps on my list. So when I'm organizing my grocery list, I put anything that I'm gonna get the local grocer at the top because that's my first stop. Then next, I put any items that I might be able to get the local grocer. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't, but if they don't have it, then I can just get it at the regular grocery store. So it's there near the top so I can make sure that I see it and I don't forget about it, but if they don't have it, then I know that I can just get it at the other place. Then I have the section for the regular grocery store, and with this, I organize these items in the order that I'm going to pick them up in the store. So I have my path that I walk. I know where everything is because I go there every week, and I put the items in that order. And this makes it so much easier because instead of scanning up and down a list and trying to make sure, okay, I'm in the produce, is there any other produce thing I need? What, I don't want to forget anything, or then you're on the other side of the store and you realize, oh, I didn't get garlic. Now I have to run all the way back over. Instead of doing all of that, everything is exactly where it needs to be. I can just walk through the aisles and check things off the list. And I know for some people, organizing the list by where things are in the store might seem excessive or like a lot of work, but I'm telling you, it's not hard because you already know where all of these things are because you know your grocery store, you're there all the time. And it makes grocery shopping so much easier because you don't have to take the brain power to keep looking and scanning and making sure and double checking. Everything is right where it needs to be, and it makes the process so much smoother. Now let's talk about the tool I use, because this tool really makes all of the stuff I just described to you actually work and makes it a whole lot easier to execute. And that tool is a list making app called Google Keep. And I really like using Google Keep over using pen and paper for a few different reasons. So the first thing I really like about Google Keep is whenever you check something off the list, it moves it down to the bottom. So it really keeps everything cleared out, and it keeps the items that you still need to purchase up at the top, which I think visually just looks really nice and clean, and again clears away some of that mental clutter and some of that effort of scanning over the items that you've already got in your cart, because it just slides them down and moves them out of your way. Something else I really like is that it doesn't delete items that you check off, it just moves them into that lower area. So then when you are making your list the next week, it's really easy to go through and uncheck things. And that's what I do for those staple items. Instead of having to retype them in or rewrite them every single time, I can just go down, uncheck, 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 and then it's moved all those back up onto my list again. Another thing I really like about the app is that you can rearrange items on your list. So as opposed to pen and paper where maybe you'd have to make like a scratch list first and then make a second one to put everything in the order that you're going to buy it, with Google Keep you can just slide things around and put them into the exact right order however you like it, and you don't have to make your list twice. Something else I really like is you can have multiple people on the list. So this is really helpful for those staple items that we talked about earlier, because anyone can just add something to the list right away when they see that it has gotten low, or if there's a special item that someone wants, then they can just go ahead and add it on the list and they don't have to bug you about adding it to the list. So I hope you find those ideas helpful for your next grocery shopping trip, and if you happen to be new here and you want more healthy eating tips and nutrition info and videos like this one, then make sure that you subscribe, because eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle really doesn't have to be complicated, and I want to show you how to do it. And if you want to watch some more videos, I have a couple linked over here that you might really like. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.